Hello students, I am Mrs. A.V. Singh with my next video on the chapter Acid, Bases and Salt. Previously we studied about the strength of an acid or base such that pH scale, its applications. Today we will start with salts. Starting with common salt. Now this is the general name, common salt. Chemical name is sodium chloride and the formula is NaCl, as you can see in the slide also. And it is formed by the combination of two substances or two chemical substances, that is HCl and NaOH. This is a salt which we use in our food also. And how do we collect the salt? It is from the seawater. It contains many salts dissolved in it, and NaCl is separated from these salts. These crystals, when we take out, then they are brown in color because they are loaded up with the impurities, and we call them as rock salt. Later on the impurities are removed and the pure salt is prepared. Of course we use in our food. It is a raw material also for many substances. We can prepare many substances from sodium chloride, that is, for example, NaOH, that is sodium hydroxide. We have baking soda, we have washing soda, we have bleaching powder, and many more chemical substances can be prepared from sodium chloride, that is your common salt. Now when we come to the next compound, and the next compound is your sodium hydroxide. The formula, of course, you can see here, it's written NaOH. The chemical name is sodium hydroxide. Now, how do we prepare it? When electricity is passed through an aqueous solution of sodium chloride, the aqueous solution of sodium chloride is known as brine. So when we pass the electricity, it decomposes or breaks it and forms sodium hydroxide, and the process is said to be chloralkali process. And why we call it as chloralkali process? The reason is, as you can see in the reaction also, that sodium chloride is reacted with water and it is forming sodium hydroxide, that's an alkali, and we are also forming chlorine gas. So that is why the name is put as chloralkali process. Okay. Now as electricity is passed through it, so chlorine gas is liberated at anode and hydrogen gas is liberated at cathode. In the diagram also you can see that the gases are liberated at cathode and anode. Now you see all the three products which are obtained here, all three are useful. If we start with hydrogen, it is for fuels, margarine, fertilizers, etc. If I come to chlorine, it is used as a disinfectant in CFCs, in pesticides, PVCs, etc. Then if I come to NaOH, it is for paper making, artificial fibers, soaps, detergents. So it's so useful. Sodium hydroxide is a very, very useful compound. Now coming to our next salt, it is bleaching powder. Now bleaching powder, as the chemical name, we call it as calcium oxidichloride. So the formula will be CaOCl2. It is produced or it is prepared by the action of chlorine on dry slaked lime. Slaked lime formula is calcium hydroxide, that is Ca open bracket OH close twice. So it is CaOH whole twice. Now if I react, in the slide also the reaction is given. Calcium hydroxide is reacting with chlorine, and finally the product which is formed is bleaching powder, that is CaOCl2, and water molecule is released. This is a very important product. It is used for bleaching cotton and linen in textile industries. It is used as an oxidizing agent. It is used for disinfecting drinking water to make it free of germs. In swimming pool also it is being added. Now coming to the next salt, and that is your baking soda. Okay. Now the baking soda, it's a very common compound in the kitchen, and it is used for baking purposes also. and the formula is NaHCO3 and the chemical name is sodium hydrogen carbonate. Now how do we prepare it? See, we have 4 raw materials required. We have 4 raw materials and we interact all these 4 raw materials, we react them together, and in return we get our baking soda. These 4 raw materials are sodium chloride, water, carbon dioxide and ammonia. As you can see in the slide also, it's written NaCl plus H2O plus CO2 plus NH3. All 4 interact with each other or react with each other and result into a product, that is NH4Cl, which is ammonium chloride, and baking soda, which is NaHCO3. It's a mild base. On heating, it produces sodium carbonate, water and carbon dioxide. Now this carbon dioxide is an important product because it is making the substance or the dough soft and spongy. So when it is used in bakery products, CO2 is responsible for the fluffiness in the resultant product. So we are using this as in the bakery, so we are using it for baking purposes. Now coming to our baking powder, see, there is no difference into the formula of baking soda and baking powder. Baking soda was your NaHCO3, baking powder is also NaHCO3, but because on heating it produces sodium carbonate and it gives a bitter taste to the sweet products. So for sweet baking purposes, if we are making sweet substances, products, sorry, we are making sweet products, so what we do is we prepare baking powder by adding a pinch of tartaric acid into baking soda. Now when we mix them together, this tartaric acid neutralizes the effect of baking soda, and finally that bitter taste goes into the sweet product. Okay, so that is why baking powder is equally important as baking soda, and both of them have the same formula. Baking soda is also used in bakery products and baking powder is also used, as well as they have another use that they are used in soda acid fire extinguishers. Okay, now coming to the next, and we have another compound, a very important compound, that is washing soda. This also we are using in our day-to-day activities for washing clothes, and the formula for washing soda is Na2CO3 dot 10H2O. So the chemical formula becomes as sodium carbonate decahydrate. Deca is 10. So if we prepare a saturated solution of sodium carbonate and recrystallize, then it gives you washing soda. Of course it is a basic salt, and the reaction is as it is there also, that if we collect the baking soda and you heat the baking soda, we get sodium carbonate, we crystallize the sodium carbonate, that is Na2CO3 plus 10H2O, it gives rise to washing soda, that is Na2CO3 dot 10H2O. See, so many uses are given here. Of course it is used to remove a very important use, that is to remove the permanent hardness of water, and it is also used in glass, soap, paper industries. It is also used in the manufacture of number of sodium compounds, and of course for making borax. So this is also a very important compound used in our day-to-day life. Last salt which we will study now is plaster of Paris. Now this plaster of Paris is basically calcium sulfate hemihydrate. Now this hemi is half H2O. Calcium sulfate is CaSO4. So the formula comes off as CaSO4 dot half H2O. Now how it is prepared? So we take gypsum for this. Gypsum's formula is CaSO4 dot 2H2O. Now we heat this gypsum at controlled temperature, that is 373 Kelvin, and at this temperature only 1.5 water molecule evaporates and form POP, that is plaster of Paris. Now there is a question, how can half a water molecule exist? It is correct, half a water molecule cannot exist, but how it is there in the formula? It is actually written in 2 formula units of calcium sulfate sharing 1 molecule of water. That means 2 CaSO4 dot 1 H2O. So exactly it is CaSO4 dot half H2O, but possibility is 2 SO4. That means they gather the 2 CaSO4 molecules, they come together, unite together, and on clubbing they form 1 water molecule. Now this is the possibility in nature. POP is used for making toys, decorative items, plastering of bones, which you have seen. And again, if this has a very important property of converting itself back into gypsum. If you leave POP like that, it will soak the water molecule from the environment and it will change back into gypsum, that is CaSO4 dot 2 H2O. So we cannot expose it to the open environment or the open air just like that. We have to seal it after use, otherwise it will change back into gypsum, and gypsum cannot be on heating like that only without any strict condition, cannot change back into POP. Again we have to follow the process of strict heating at 373 Kelvin. Now the last, in the end, of course, there is one question: are the crystals of salts dry? See, when we talk about crystals, we studied so many crystals here. We studied about ferrous sulfate, FeSO4.7H2O, CuSO4.5H2O. We studied about gypsum just now. We studied about POP. All have that dot 2H2O, half H2O, 7H2O, all these water molecules. Okay, so actually what happens, that salts while crystallizing regain some amount of water, which is known as water of crystallization, and it is fixed. So earlier the salt was CuSO4, supposing copper sulfate, but when it crystallizes itself, the salt of copper sulfate, when change itself into crystals, while going in this formation of crystals, it absorbs or it soaks 5 water of crystallization, or it soaks 5 water molecules and become wet and form a crystal. So that is why we say that these crystals of salts are not dry. Of course they will appear from outside, but inside they have soaked the fixed amount of water, and so they are not dry. Thank you, children.